Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, March 28th. So today we will have the moon move out of Gemini energy, lock into its place of power in Cancer energy, 6:23 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now today is the busiest day of the week in the cosmos. This is the day that I spoke about in the ascension forecast for the week. We have 14 different aspects here today, which is a little bit much. And considering the fact that we have the first quarter moon taking place in Cancer energy very late in the day here today, means that we're going to spend the whole day building intensity, building towards this action point, this crisis point, if you will. The first quarter moon of any cycle always illuminates the obstacles, the challenges that we face, that we're sitting on the fence debating whether or not we're going to deal with them head on or run in reverse and go the other way. And what we will find here is that in this Cancer energy, we are looking to kind of move past the connections, the attachments to the old, I'm going to say, blocks and challenges that have come up in our emotional realm, in our intuitive realm, in our, I'm going to go out on a limb and say our whininess, our complaining, right? It's easy to whine and complain about the challenges that we have to boss up into. It's very easy to turn your cheek and run the other way, but that's not how we grow. And in this Cancer energy, we're looking to stabilize our emotional foundation, our safety net, our security net, if you will. And sometimes that requires us of taking a good look at our obstacles and our challenges that are preventing us from getting to where it is that we desire to be, and just kind of tapping into a new level of boldness and bravery in order to do what we got to do, to take action, to make a move, to rise to the occasion of really kind of seeing where it is that we've allowed certain topics, themes, narratives, emotions hold us back from pursuing the path of happiness, the goal, the dream, the vision. So we got a lot going on here today. There are a couple of very positive aspects that I think is going to help us out, give us a couple of puzzle pieces so that we can snap those babies together and see a little bit of the greater, grander picture be revealed, more of our long-term goals being revealed, kind of restore our faith, restore our confidence and optimism. And we're going to want to hold on to that very, very tightly, because there are other aspects popping off here today that's definitely going to add to our nervousness, our negative Nancy attitude, the instability that we're currently experiencing in our emotional realm, with the confusion of not knowing what to do and what direction to actually take. So 14 different aspects, 10 of them involve the moon. The moon, while still in this Gemini energy, is going to make a positive interaction with Chiron, the wounded healer, which does kind of suggest that we are making a little bit of progress, a little bit of growth and healing some of the negative narratives that we've definitely been struggling with, especially where our ego is concerned. Do we have what it takes? Are we worthy and deserving of the happiness, of the dream, of the goal? Now, this is a positive interaction, so it does suggest mostly about healing instead of sitting in those wounds. And because the moon in Gemini is kind of ruling over the heart space and the head space right now, there is some kind of alignment taking place where we're seeing where it is that we're growing through what it is that we're going through. Now, Mercury is going to come up to bump into conjunct Jupiter. This is a beautiful aspect. This is one of the most positive aspects that we got going on here today, let alone the week. And here's why. Mercury rules over the mental plane, rules over information, communication, how it is that we're expressing ourselves. Jupiter is about growth and expansion. He magnifies, turns the volume all the way up on whatever it is that we're thinking and feeling. And having these two come together in this Aries energy, the initiator of the zodiac, the fresh chapter, the clean slate, the boldness, the bravery, the courage that we need in order to put ourselves out there and create something new. What we get here is a little tiny window of an opportunity to see the greater, grander picture, the bigger plan, the long-term goals. We might even realize that there are some details, some information coming forth that was there the whole time, but for some reason we missed it. And of course, having this particular detail or little tidbit of information is going to be that puzzle piece to snap together to reveal the greater, grander whole, if you will, and really start making some sense where there's been a lot of confusion. Now, this particular aspect also renews our faith, really bumps up our optimism, bumps up our confidence. Caution warning, we have a tendency to bite off more than we can chew. We have a tendency to overcommit. We have a tendency to overdream. And yes, there is such a thing. And so we do have to kind of bring in a little bit of grounding energy in order for us to stay as logical and practical in our real life dreams and visions as possible. The moon is going to semi-square Venus. Venus is in Taurus energy in her place of power. This is pretty much the only grounding energy that we have going on here at the moment. Now, this is a semi-square, so this is not the best conversation between these two. The moon in Gemini, of course, rapidly trying to think emotionally and mentally on what it is that we need to kind of create, what it is that we have to orient to, what it is that we have to bring to life in order for us to feel safe and secure, for us to feel stable in our lives, not just emotionally within ourselves, but within our relationship dynamics. And this is really, again, with Venus being in Taurus energy, this is about us realizing where happiness and joy and pleasure need to be infused in our everyday life, where safety, security, and stability need to be a positive and permanent fixture in our life. And if nothing else, this is going to illuminate for us where it is that there is a lack of those things in order for us to brainstorm on how it is that we're going to bring some of these things into our day-to-day. Now, 6:23 a.m., this is when the moon moves into Cancer energy. This is her place of power. This means that our emotions are definitely on lock, on spotlight. We're going to get a little bit hypersensitive, a little bit sentimental, a little bit nostalgic. There's going to be some introvertedness that takes over because we need to step back. We need to retract. We need to move inside of ourselves and move into that heart space. Considering the fact that when the moon is in Gemini, we're all up in the head space trying to sort through our emotions. The Cancer energy allows us to move into the heart space, into our intuition, and really get a gauge on what it is that we're doing, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what it is that we need more of in order for us to feel taken care of. And many times this is about identifying the void, the wounds within us that we are unconsciously looking outside of ourselves for other people to fill and heal. When this realization comes down to what it is that we need to do within ourselves to take care and nurture ourselves back to a place of emotional safety, security, and stability. So we will have the moon fresh in this Cancer energy, making an interaction with Pluto. So fun fact, for the last 15 years, with Pluto being in that Capricorn energy, was a direct opposition to Cancer energy. So if you have any Cancer placements, you were constantly being opposed by Pluto, the great transformer, in order to kind of break down, destroy whatever planet, whatever energy was in opposition with Mr. Pluto while in this Capricorn energy. Well, he's not in Capricorn energy anymore. He's in Aquarius energy. This is a totally different ball game. This is a totally different interaction. This is the first time that the moon in Cancer will be popping off with Mr. Pluto, who is now in Aquarian energy. So what this means for us is that we are having a hard time. First of all, the moon in Cancer is predisposed to look back, be nostalgic, reflect back, kind of paint a better picture than reality actually was. We're very connected to the old, to our traditional values, to our traditional beliefs. We have a hard time switching things up here. We are overly protective of what it is that we've already poured into, already created. While Mr. Pluto, fresh in this Aquarian energy, is over here with the big picture, the big observer type of energy that we get from Aquarius. And we are pushing the boundaries on projecting ourselves into the future so freaking far that we get this conflict because, of course, Cancer's looking back, Aquarius energy's looking forward. Where are we at? We're here in the present moment. We need to concentrate on this present moment, realize where it is that we have to rein in our connections from the past and rein in the amount of, I'm going to say, distance that we are projecting ourselves into the future. Now, Pluto is here to transform. And sometimes we need to act as the observer, say the greater, grander picture of what's going on here so that we can observe where the attachments are, observe why we're afraid to let go, observe why it is that we're looking back instead of looking forward. Emotionally speaking, probably not going to feel the best. This is going to provide us with a little bit of a learning opportunity to see where our energy is actually needed. And spoiler alert, your energy is needed in this present moment, in the here and now, rooted, anchored in this present moment so that you can look back with an observer type of mentality, see what it is within you that is afraid to let go, and at the same time, see what could be possible for you in a futuristic sense if you were to just get out of your own way. Just release whatever attachments that you're holding desperately onto as far as the past is concerned. So the moon goes ahead and makes a positive interaction with both Jupiter and Mercury. And of course, we just had Jupiter and Mercury kind of, sitting next to each other, teaming up in this Aries energy. So this is why we're going to have back-to-back aspects with the moon involving herself now. And emotionally speaking, this is a refresher. This is a renewal. This is a revival of our optimism, of our confidence, of our inspiration, of our motivation. Now, is it going to stick around for a long time? Probably not. So just take a snapshot in your mind of the energy state that you're in at this particular point in the day, because things are going to get challenging. But first, the moon is going to come up to, conjunct, sit next to, team up with Mars, who is fresh in this Cancer energy. If you need to listen to the astro forecast that I put out on what Mars and Cancer is all about, definitely go ahead and do so. This is another fresh energy that the moon in Cancer has not yet had an interaction with. This is a first. So we're trying to get ourselves fired up. But here's the thing. If you listen to that astro forecast, you would know that Mars is not in his place of power in Cancer energy at all. And the only reason why we were excited for Mars to move into Cancer is just because we needed to get out of that Gemini energy. He doesn't have a sword. He does not have a weapon. His weapon of choice is his intuition, is his feelings in Cancer. And Mars hates having to rely on his intuition and feeling. He's an action guy. He would rather identify the problem, yield that sword, cut through the problem, remove it from the battlefield in order to assert and aggress himself towards his end goal, towards his dream, towards his vision. In Cancer energy, we are very moody, very protective. We're on the defense instead of offense. And with this particular interaction, I would hope that we're going to be inspired and motivated, that we're going to realize where it is that we need a new level of determination in order to pursue the things that are feeling good to us. But on the flip side of that, we could really tap into that defensive mechanism. We could really project our frustrations, our anger on someone else. We're definitely feeling raw and real and vulnerable. And of course, if we've done the work in order to stand in that state of vulnerability with power, with completion, with strength, we have nothing to fear. But most times, often than not, we're still having to work on that shadow realm element, which means that we do have to kind of see the ugliness rise to the surface before we can address it and morph it into something better. The moon will semi-square Uranus. Now, I did mention briefly Uranus was a key factor in the day, really adding a lot of electricity to the cosmos, to our physical bodies. This is why restlessness and anxiety is definitely peaking. We're a little bit jittery. We're a little bit on edge. And reason being is because we know that we're on the cusp of making major changes. We don't have the right channel, the right outlet in order to make those changes yet. We're grasping for clarity. We're grasping for a direction, for a path, but right now we don't have it. And this is really kind of, I'm going to say, adding some destabilizing energies to our physical body, especially to our emotional realm, with the moon being in Cancer. And overall, we're just not feeling so good about thinking about the big changes that we're making, because the moon in Cancer orients us to hold on to what it is that we've already created, where change isn't needed, change isn't necessary. Instead, we try to dumb ourselves down and convince ourselves to settle for the circumstances that we've been praying to actually break out of. Now, the moon is going to trine with Saturn, We get this trine because the Cancer energy is a water energy that the moon is in, and Saturn is in Pisces energy, a water energy. So water on water, it means that there's a trine. This is a harmonization, a blending of these energies. And what I like about this is that, well, first of all, Saturn is here to show us where it is that we got to boss up, where it is that we have to be better. We have to be a little bit more disciplined and structured in our lives, especially with the delusions, Pisces energy, that we tend to tell ourselves, the excuses, the victim mentality that we're all sitting in, the, I'm going to say, want, need, and desire to solely just sit back and dream a dream in your headspace and think that it's actually going to manifest without you having to do anything here in the physical realm to actually create the space and the foundation for those dreams to manifest. So emotionally speaking, we're kind of realizing right now that, you know what, this is a slow process, right? We're talking about water energy. So water right now, the waves aren't choppy. It's not a storm surge. It's just a gentle ebb and flow. And what we are gently ebbing and flowing to is realizing that we are changing the foundation of our reality. We are changing some very important fixtures that have been around in our reality for a very long time. And as unsettling as that may be in a normal disposition of these energies and aspects, this is a trine. So this means that emotionally speaking, we're starting to see where it is that we have to do better, especially in the realm of taking care of ourselves, nurturing ourselves, identifying the weaker points in ourselves, in our emotions, in our relationships, in our routines, where it is that we can boss up and do better at taking care of ourselves better. So there is this illumination that doesn't feel like a challenge, doesn't feel like an obstacle. It feels like we are gracefully and gradually building ourselves up to be in a different emotional position to take on some of the changes that we know that we have to make if we stand a chance of actually manifesting some of the dreams that we're currently conjuring up. The moon will sextile with the true node. The true node is our soul path, our destiny point. A sextile means that we're making some progress here, which does kind of indicate that we are piecing together the steps needed that we have to take in order to make a change in our reality, in our routines, in our relationships, in our money matters. Why? Because the true node is saying, hey, we got to get you oriented here in the right direction in order to make a move, to take a step, to move in the path that is going to bring you to your soul's mission, your soul's potential. And emotionally speaking, we wouldn't think that we would be so eager to look ahead, seeing as the Cancer energy tends to want to look back. However, again, gentle flow of energy. We have Mars in Cancer now. So this means that Mars, who refuses to look back, who only wants to look forward, is kind of setting the tone, emotionally speaking, on how far back and how much time we're spending looking back that we're actually consuming ourselves with. So this particular energy and aspect does kind of suggest that we are starting to piece together what needs to be done in order for us to feel safe and secure in our physical realms. Mars, though, will go ahead and semi-square Uranus. This is definitely going to amplify the edginess, the restlessness, the anxiety that we have, the impulse that we're trying to fight. This could position us to take some risks that we wouldn't normally take. Let me give you a cautionary note here. It's not a bad thing to take a risk. Sometimes it's not even a bad thing to act on impulse, because sometimes we get too caught up in our inner narrative and in our headspace, and we can really ruin a good thing or prevent ourselves from taking action and making moves on things that we should be taking action on. However, if the impulsivity, if the risks are too great, too grand, too big, not thought of enough, not thought of as far as the consequences of our actions go, it could be a shit show. Okay, so, you're going to have to trust your gut on this one. But here's the thing. We are tired of the mundane. We're tired of the routine. And maybe, just maybe, even though we're predispositioned to take big risks, to make big moves, maybe just taking some smaller ones for now, seeing as we don't really have the greatest, grandest, clearest picture on where it is that we're going, maybe just spice up your routine a little bit. Maybe just do things in a different order in what it is that you normally do. And maybe that will be enough to kind of quench the thirst, if you will, for change until we can be a little bit more strategic and how it is that we're going to execute the strategy needed in order to move forward in a very controlled type of manner. Now, Venus is going to go ahead and make a positive interaction with Saturn. So Venus in her place of power in this Taurus energy, grounding us out, making us very connected to the five senses in order to gauge our physical realm, the changes that we want to make, the visions and the dreams that we have, listening to how our physical body responds to some of those thoughts, some of those emotions that get activated when we allow ourselves to dream. Here's the thing. We are going to get super realistic, super practical with what it is that we want, need, and desire in our physical realms where relationship values are concerned. We are a little bit more down to earth with how it is that we need to verbalize and communicate what it is that we need from other people. We are starting to piece together what it is that we need within ourselves, but now we realize that solo adventure can only go so far. We do share our lives with other people, and therefore we need to get other people on the same page with us, especially where Saturn is concerned. There's a lot of responsibility for us to maintain a healthy dialogue, a healthy interaction with the relationships that we deem to be of worth and value. And there's a lot of responsibility that we have to take for our own happiness, our own joy, our own pleasure, up until we realize that we can only take it so far, and we need the support and encouragement. We need the action of other people to kind of meet us halfway. So we're going to be able to kind of piece together what it is that we actually need as far as building new happy relationships go, new realities where happiness and pleasure and joy are a more common thing than what it is that we have now. And of course, Saturn bringing us down to earth, not in a negative tone, but in a logical, practical tone for us to see where it is that we have to roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty in asking for what it is that we want, we need, we desire. Now, Mercury is going to make a positive aspect with Mars. I like this for a couple of reasons. First of all, Mars was in Gemini energy that Mercury rules over for the last 7 months. And Mars, who rules over the Aries energy that Mercury is currently in, this is a shift in perspective, a shift in our energy, a shift in ideas, a shift in realizing the actions that we have to take in order to bring some of the preliminary topics and themes into fruition. Keep in mind, we're in Aries season. This is where we have to cultivate the seed of dreams, of vision, of inspiration, of motivation, where we have to plant that seed in order to actually see it grow, which of course we will see the evidence of when we move into Taurus season. So Mercury and Mars, they're really kind of trying to get in alignment with the ideas, with the inspiration, with the motivation that we have to have as far as our goals, our dreams, our visions go in our mental plane. And of course, that Mars energy wants to take action, wants to make a move, wants to assert himself on the path that's going to get us to where it is that we desire to be. However, now in Cancer energy, we really have to be emotionally and intuitively triggered or activated to make a move, to take action. And again, it won't be a straightforward action. It'll kind of be like a ebb and flow, if you will, constantly crashing closer to the earth, that watching that wave get closer and closer to crash upon the sand, crash upon the land, and see ourselves gradually move a little bit closer and closer to where it is that we desire to be. The last aspect that we have here today is between the moon and the sun. They're squaring off. This gives us our first quarter moon, and it's taking place at 8 degrees in Cancer energy. So as I mentioned, the first quarter moon is always a aha moment of the challenges, the obstacles that we're facing, and then seeing past those challenges and obstacles where it is that we desire to be, especially where emotional stability is concerned, especially where doing what we got to do in order to take care of ourselves is concerned. And so this positions us head on, confrontational with the blockages, with the challenges, with the obstacles that are preventing us from seeing past those particular set of obstacles on what it is that we could actually pursue if we just pushed ourselves to push through these particular roadblocks and not let fears, doubts, insecurities, and our going to say attachments to the past, really cluster effing what is possible for us, not only in the present moment, but in a futuristic sense as well. And so this is going to be a highly emotional event. Again, feeling that intensity build throughout the day with all the other different aspects, really kind of aggravating and agitating that particular disposition within us. And then we're going to have this epiphany, if you will, on where it is that we either have to sit down, shut up, accept our circumstances, make peace with where it is that we're at and settle, or where it is that we need to rise up, boss up, take control, know what it is that we need to do in order to break free from this current reality and begin to create a new one.